All right, welcome into Market Day Report. I am Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. I just took the baton from Mr. Tony St. James. So I'm going to lead you into the second half of trade here today and then into the Cow Guy close, right? That's a cheap plug, right? Let's take a look and see what we're doing so far. A lot of red on the screen when I did the old radio show this morning. Hopefully we've turned some of these things around. But we haven't turned corn around. It's down 2 cents to 430.5 as last. Getting too close to the area I don't like, but we're 2 cents off the low of the day and about just under 3 cents off the highs. So that's what's going on in corn. We're 1 3/4 cents lower in the March to 448.25. How about beans? They were down 2 in the radio show, and they still are. November's down 7 3/4 cents to 1048.25. Interestingly enough, it's about 6 and a bit cents off the low of the day, and we're about 6 cents off the high. So we're right in the middle of that trading range. We've got Jan down 7.5 cents to 1066 3/4. So 1048 evens right now in the Nova. We got 1066.5 in the Jan. That's beans. Let's go to the wheat in Chicago. Chicago wheat, 6 3/4 cents lower there. 608.5 is last. 3 ticks off the low of the day and well off the highs by just under 9 cents. We got a March down 6 1/4 cents to 631 even. Moving on from Chicago wheat to the hard red in Kansas City. 3 1/4 cents lower in that contract. East is down to 616 even. A penny and 3/4 off the low of the day. 7.5 cents off the high. 2 3/4 cents lower in the March right behind it. 631.5 is the price. That's 2 cents off the low there and about almost 7 cents off of the highs. Move from Kansas City, go out to the spring wheat in Minneapolis. So we do have an up arrow in these spring wheat. Well, look at that. 3/4 cent better. 649 even. 649 3/4. Trying to get up to that 650 level. Now we just ticked down to 1/4 cent better on the day. 649 1/4 is last. That's Minneapolis spring wheat Dees. We've got a 1/4 cent lower in the March. Not much happening there. 669 3/4 is what's happening there. So that's the spring wheat. And then let's get to the cotton, and we'll get to our next guest analyst. Cotton, Dees cotton's down $1.10. Hurts. That's bad. 72.30 is last there. Still well off the lows by almost 50 points. So I guess we can take some solace in that. Let's bring in our next guest analyst and see if he can make us feel any better. That's Mr. Peter Haralambakis. He's with CHS. He's up in the home office at Inver Grove Heights. Thank you very much for joining us here this morning, sir. What do you got for us? What's top of mind?
Well, I wish I could change the pessimistic kind of tone here. Again, we did see export sales that actually surpassed some of the higher end estimates with both wheat and corn, and yet to your point, you just went across the board and the majority of it was a sea of red, right? It seems like it's a party that is squarely focused on energy, but again, I think a pause for the cause right now in the grain sector. Even with export sales of wheat showing 444,000 metric tons of wheat export sales. Corn showed 1.6 million metric tons, well above the high end of the 1 million metric ton estimate there. Soybeans showed export sales of 1.4 million metric tons there, also on the higher end of the export sales there. Overall, corn sales posted that strong total that was well above expectations. Total commitments are well ahead of last year by 2 million tons. Mexico remains the biggest buyer there and by a large amount. No surprise there with the soybeans. They're off to an excellent start there. But wheat gaining 3.5-month highs, also rebounded nicely for export sales. But at the forefront, like we have probably, and many other people's offices have been talking about, is kind of the geopolitical issues out there that are surrounding many of the commodities out there, Scott. So
I think it's
waiting to see.
It's pretty historic. I mean, I hate saying I say it too. We gotta wait and see. I mean, we're kind of in purgatory a little bit here. And if you throw everything at the fan, it's what's going on in the Middle East. And research this morning came across our desk showing that Russia is making some headway in Ukraine, and they may actually lose now. Now we've obviously got the port strike, right? And we're trying to deal with a soggy southeast that's seen some pretty historic damage. Yeah. And then at the same time, we've got our Fed cutting rates, maybe bigger clips than initially anticipated. We've got weather issues in down south in Brazil. I mean, what else could we have? I mean, am I missing anything there?
Keep in mind, soybeans have rallied almost 10%.
Yeah.
Corn has rallied almost 12% from its lows. Wheat has rallied from its lows to the tune of 17%, right? So we've made these these fundamental moves. Obviously, some of the fund short covering was a big piece of it too, but South America drought, a lot of fires down there, led the way, boosting soybeans, and then sympathetic rallies with corn. But to your point, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unease that is happening and surrounding many commodities, right? So, but again, it feels like the party is strictly for energy right now, and even with potentially, some nuclear strikes from Israel or not, again, there's going to be a lot of uncertainties, right? So even with the administration saying that potentially Israel is going to, hone in on energy supply itself, right,
Yep.
and go after their kind of oil reserves and oil kind of infrastructure, right? So again, I think we're just seeing a pause for the cause right now, which is also probably a good time to kind of hedge some of your product in the grains, right?
Absolutely right.
As we see it. So
don't let the gift horse in the mouth. I mean, we've seen that rally in the teeth of harvest too. So that's some pretty good stuff. All right, appreciate you coming on, Peter. Thanks for being on the show, Peter Haralambakis. He's with CHS up in Inver Grove Heights. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills, and I'm going to come back and talk more livestock with you right after this.